And we are live. Hello, everyone. My name is Patrick Rolland. I am the brand manager here at Paid Memberships Pro. I have a very special guest, Curtis McHale, who I'll introduce in a second, but do you want to give us a wave, Curtis? Great. So everyone, we're here today. We're going to talk about online courses. This is about the whole process of creating online courses. This is high level. So we're going to start with, how do you plan to make an online course? What are all the steps of planning? And we're going to talk about how to record and how to make your first videos and how to edit them. And then we're also going to end with, how do you market your online courses? So think of this as like a broad overview, high level. And what I love about high level content is that you often learn things that you didn't know that you didn't know. And I know that sounds silly, but those are the things that usually hang up your business. Like you're about to launch a website and you're like, oh, I need to install something called a payment gateway. And then you have to spend a week figuring out what a payment gateway is. And then you finally launch it. And anyways, it's a month, you launch your business a month late because you didn't know that you didn't know something. So today we have a nice high level, broad topic all about online courses. So hopefully we'll answer some of those questions for you, and you'll hopefully learn some things that you didn't know. So today we have Curtis McHale. He is a well-known WordPress developer. He has been building e-commerce and membership sites for 12 years. Curtis, I used to think that I had a lot of e-commerce experience, but I think you beat me. I'm like this much jealous.
That's been a while.
You have a lot. So he's also built 10 of his own courses, 5 of which make a pretty decent revenue. So what I like about that is there are some things that worked really great, and there are some things that didn't work really great. And it's nice to have that experience to say, here's why this one worked, here's why this one didn't. So we'll get some of that. And he's written books about focus, email, productivity, how to get good at your job, a guide for freelancers, getting your freelance business unstuck. So he is a true polymath. That's one of those fancy words that just means he likes a lot of stuff. So with that introduction, rules. If you guys have questions, please go ahead and ask us questions as soon as you think of them. Like, it's always good when you're watching a webinar, when you're taking part in an online talk, just to write down your question immediately. They'll pop up in my system here, and then I'll ask the questions for Curtis at the end. Curtis is a very flexible presenter, so if I see something that's topical and sort of relevant to the thing he's talking about, I also might interrupt him. So Curtis, you may hear me yell at you from out of the ether, or we'll save the questions till the end. But either way, please always do send in your questions immediately. Just that way they don't get forgotten, they don't get lost. And if you're following along, I'm just going to put a URL on the bottom here. So if you want, we will have notes and wrap up at this URL after this webinar is done. And also the recording for this will be here. Yes, the eternal question that every webinar asks, will there be a recording? Yes, it will be at this URL. You can watch it again. So if you miss something, go to this URL, it'll be there. And one thing I just want to promote for Curtis before we get too far and before I forget is he does have a weekly newsletter. So if you want to hear more from Curtis, if you think Curtis is the coolest guy, he's got the best hat, I want to hear more awesome advice from the guy with the best hat, go to this URL. So let me just make sure there's nothing that I'm missing. We got questions. We got the contents. We got Curtis. Curtis, you are free to go. Tell us a little bit of what we're going to talk about today.
Like you said, Patrick, we're going to talk about building your online course, everything from the planning stages early on, as I planned many. Many you don't even see anymore because they didn't sell well, so I just stopped. It's actually probably a good thing that it really isn't in my presentation. I'm pretty good at being, well, that didn't work, and I just move on to the next thing. I don't sweat it that much anymore. The first few times was tough. All the way up to like how to kind of, plan your video course a little bit, what you should do. You'll even get to see a picture of my desk from this morning and what's behind me that you don't actually see from this morning. Cause I thought that was this is really what my office looks like. You just can't see it because I put a little bit of thought into what you see.
Awesome. We'll take it away.
All right. So let's get our presentation going. So today we're going to talk about building your online course. And a quick overview of what we're going to talk about is deciding what to teach. So like what the actual topic is going to be for yourself, choosing the right delivery method, whether that's video, audio, writing. Those are the methods I've really gone into. You definitely could do them in person, right? I've done presentations similar to this in person as well to deliver your course. Editing a video course is going to be, again, high level. I'm not going to talk about like how to use the software or what the keyboard commands are, but just high level, what you should think about when you are delivering your course or editing your course. I'm going to talk about marketing your course, which is probably the most important part of it. So let's start out deciding what you teach. The first thing to ask yourself is, what does your audience want? And I want you to note that in that I said audience, as in you already have one, because if you don't have an audience and you're launching a course, no one's going to be there to take your course because you're not going to build it and they won't come. So even if your audience is from another area, another avenue, say you're an author, you're someone in sports, and then you bring out some course about how you achieve this high level in sports, you have to have an audience in some fashion already. And knowing what your audience wants as you start doing your demo content, which we'll talk a little bit more about in marketing, and seeing what they respond to can help you see what they're actually really interested in and what you should deliver as a course and what style they like for your course delivery as well. So if you're writing, it's, which blog posts get the most views, the most comments if you have comments, the most comments on social media, anything like that. If it is on your videos, which ones are seeing the most views, which ones, again, people are commenting on, which ones are people responding to, which ones are people emailing you or interacting with you on. So that's probably the first thing. If you ever went to look at my YouTube channel, you'll notice I have 900 videos. I think the last 200 are really good ones that have actually really taken off. Maybe it's a little more than that now. But a number of the beginning ones are literally me just trying things, sometimes for an entire year, and it didn't work. And then I started switching to try other things. And you can actually watch that progression. I actually like leaving that up because occasionally people go back and see it and they're like, wow, you were really bad at first. And I totally was really bad at first. But I was having fun and trying things out, so that's fine. So next up, what type of course are you going to deliver? So one thing I would caution you on is to start simple. And there's my Alexa devices deciding to talk to me. Start simple. Some of my first courses were really going to be the biggest, the bestest, the hugest courses on some topic. And every single one of those has failed. I think really because they're harder to market because you're covering so much ground. But they've all failed. Even recent ones I've tried to launch in the last 18 months, there's going to be like, this is the biggest, everything you need to know about whatever. And it has just failed. The simpler courses that really focus around something like my Getting Started with Obsidian course, really showed how I was currently using Obsidian for my book notes, for my courses, for everything like that, how I use it to learn programming, to take notes on everything, right? So with Obsidian, it even shows, I can show you here. Right, this is my Obsidian. This is literally links out to Paid Memberships Pro and Patrick, and has my 4 courses, my 4 posts in here that I wrote for this originally that turned into this course currently. So that's what I used, and that's what I showed, and that's in some of ways what you're going to see right now as well. Pick a single focus topic. Getting started with Obsidian was a good one for people who want to get started with this piece of software that became fairly popular in the last year and a half, 2 years. Pick something you know about. I knew about Obsidian. I'm literally showing you how I use it in these courses and even in my YouTube videos. How do I use this tool? I didn't need to research it either because I literally just showed you what worked for me, and I didn't show you the things that didn't work for me because I was actually using it. Then when it comes to planning your course, the easiest way really is to just grab whatever note editor or text editor you are comfortable with. Whether that's Google Docs, whether that's Word, whether that's whatever. Something I like is Obsidian because Obsidian, Craft, RemNote, Thunk Notes, there's a number of other note-taking tools right now that are fairly popular. It allows me to do stuff like you saw in my Obsidian right here, where I can actually link out to these notes with double square brackets, or I can even go to, writing. You can see this is like my writing dashboard. These are all the different things, and I actually would plan a course like this too, right? I'd have my course ideas, my initial outline, and they all link out to individual notes that I can build the course and move them across in a Kanban board. So that is nice for me. It allows me to do research across topics and really see what I want and develop my notes as I'm going. Use the tool, in this case, Obsidian, as I'm working through it, link notes and link in other topics as well that may become in the future. So like for my reading course that I'm working on, it's taken quite a while because it's a bigger course, a lot of research in that, so I can get some of the science behind it right. as I read, as I come up with any topic, any online article, any video, anything like that, I can actually see it and see what or how it relates back to my course. And then I can break those notes up into other parts, into smaller parts, into 2 notes into an individual lesson, or break the 1 note into multiple lessons, just depending on what fits in my course. But you don't need to do that. You literally can just use Google Docs or Word in an outline, or Notepad++, or whatever works for you, and just have a bullet pointed list. And that's how all of my courses start as well. It's just a bullet point list. And then I turn them into something like the Kanban board or other things like that. Next up, I think it's really important to write a script. So even for today, my script was actually kind of the 4 blog posts that I wrote for Paid Memberships Pro, which detail and link out all these different things. And then I literally walked through the 4 blog posts and turned them into the presentation you're watching today. I tried to hit all the main points, and I have an outline, as you'll see me look over here, because my other screen isn't working right now, where I have an outline again, and can see exactly what I have, right? What I should be talking about. So knowing when you write a script, it also helps you if you're doing a how-to course. So like how to use Obsidian, I can look at it and say, this is my course, and I can make sure that I'm using the right plugins necessarily, or I figure out any bugs as I write it. So I'll even take screenshots in there and make sure I have screenshots of the right plugin, of what the screen should look like, so that when it comes to doing it, because sometimes the courses might take a while to write and a while to organize. So when I come time to do it, if things have changed, I can look at it. If I've forgotten how to do something exactly, I can look at my script and I can see exactly how I should be doing it, or how I thought I should be doing it, and work it out. Writing a script and really preparing is super important. Even preparing, for this, again, I've written 4 blog posts on this. I've talked about all these topics before, and then I did the presentation. I've spent most of the morning making sure I was prepared about this, for this as well, so that I could do a decent presentation. And before I do every video recording, I also do a dry run of the video recording, basically walk through the whole thing to make sure I've got it down, and then I would record it to make sure that on the editing end, at the end, once I'm kind of editing all of my videos, I'm not spending as much time editing, because I did good stuff in camera while I'm recording, while I'm prepping up front, because that will save you a ton of time. It's probably the biggest thing that's helped me reduce the time to produce a course from when I'm really starting it to when it's ended, is doing more work in camera up front to make sure that I have a good presentation, a good style, and that I know what I'm going to do at that moment. So when you're writing your script, it's important to realize that a video script is going to be about 750 words for about 5 minutes of video. You probably don't want a video course in each individual lesson over maybe 10 minutes at the max. And then you also need to learn what your speaking speed is. I tend to speak a little faster, so I kind of go between 750 and 1,000 words is about a 5-minute video. And even when you're presenting it, you need to remember to slow down. So even as I'm thinking here, I'm continually reminding myself to slow down. I have a Post-it note stuck over here that says slow down, just so that I'm not speaking too fast. That's easy to understand. And so that I'm not, don't end up way under time, hopefully. And then Patrick and I are left scrambling at the end, which I don't think either of us really want. Now, while I said you should write a script, you shouldn't read from a script. So when I'm doing a recording, I will actually use my desk here up front, and I will look at my script off to the side usually, and I'll present on my main monitor, and I will look at a paragraph of it. I will do what I've described in the paragraph. I will talk while I'm doing it, record my screen if it's, a how-to where I'm showing software, and then I will move on to the next one, and I'll just edit out the gaps in between. They're actually fairly easy to edit that way once you've edited out the gaps in between, because you can see in a sound wave that there's just nothing there. So that is what I do. People that use teleprompters really well, you see on news, they have spent hundreds of hours not sounding like a robot. Teleprompters can be really good. Teleprompter can be good if you're, say, doing a webinar and you're trying to talk to the camera, and you can put someone's face up in front of your camera so that you can actually see them. But I just practiced ignoring where I should be looking at the screen and trying to look at the camera instead, so that it feels like I'm actually looking at you when I'm doing a video course. It takes a little bit of work, and you'll notice, especially at first, that you spend lots of time looking just off to the side, and it doesn't feel like it when you're doing the video, but it looks like it later. So write a script, but don't read from the script. People want you, they want an authentic you, and they want to hear you present even with your foibles sometimes. That's some of the best video feedback I get is when my kids have even run into a video. When I haven't locked my office door, when they're home for the day, luckily they're at school today, and people love it. Like, oh, your kids came in and you just left it in. That was awesome and funny. Thank you for being, a real person. So now your delivery method. There's kind of 3 main ways, which you've talked about. You can do written, you can do audio, or you can do video. So the biggest question to ask yourself here is what type of content is your audience already consuming? If you're on YouTube, like I am, where I do most of my content now, and that's where you're seeing most of your traction, then you're probably going to want to produce a video course. That's going to be where people have followed you, where they think they know you already, and where you're going to see the most return from your efforts. Back when I was more writing, doing less video, I produced a lot of books because that's where people were really following me. They were following my written content. And so I produced 5 books. I know Patrick and I just looked at them. It's like 5 or 6 books. There's still actually a couple in there that went up and I took down because it just was not working. I wasn't happy with the content anymore. So there's some that didn't even work very well in book form as well. So that's it. Really look at what people are consuming from you, what they're responding to, and produce content that matches their expectations. So I find video to be good for how-to courses. When you want to show someone how to use a piece of software, it can be really good like that. Or how to knit, how to do some woodworking, how to fix bikes. I have a secondary YouTube channel that talks about bikes, show you some of the bike rides I do and stuff. Doesn't make any money, but it lets me write off bike parts. So that's why I keep doing it. And so that is actually good for how-to, right? I'm showing how to install a tubeless tire, and then I'll show you all the failures I do too. That's actually a really important part, I think, for some content, is to actually show people live how you work through the problems. Especially when I used to do programming videos, a lot of people really love that when I had a problem in my presentation, I actually showed you live how I fixed it, the thought process I went through. Especially for beginning programmers, it was really helpful for them to see how an experienced programmer helped or kind of thought about the problem and how they stepped through the problem when they literally have no idea how it's going to work. And sometimes when it starts randomly working, how they stepped through that problem again and said, wait, it's working, but I don't know why. How do I figure this out so that I'm not, just hoping that the internet gremlins don't wreck this in the future. The other good thing about a video course is that people can see specifically how you're doing something. They can see that the little things that you're going to forget to say. When you do a video course, they can actually see you doing it, and they can see that I can just pick up all those little nuances. That's an important part that I think a lot of us forget. There are always things, right? I've been riding bikes and racing them since 1994. When I go out for a bike ride with my wife, who has not been racing that long, and I go around some corner really fast, and she's like, how do you do that? And I don't even think about, I dropped my leg on this side and shifted my hip, and if you squeeze this brake just right, then you go faster through the corner. She's like, I doesn't even know that. But when someone watches you, they can pick up some of those nuances that you don't even know how to explain because you're experienced in this field already. So some courses could be good in either way. My analog productivity course was actually a book first, because a lot of it was just static shots of here's the layout that I use to plan my week. Here's a weekly spread so that you can see like weekly what I do. Here's a daily note so you can see how I use daily notes. Here are the markings that I use to signify that a task is moved from today to sometime in the future. So that really worked good because it was just static shots. There wasn't a lot of how to in process stuff, but it also worked really well as a video course because you could show from a top down view with those notebooks, how I was actually building the course, how I was actually building out my sheets for the day, why I use certain pens. And I could tell you, here's the order that I put my tasks in first. For me, on a productivity standpoint, I put in my family time first. I put in my exercise time second. I put in any other external commitments, and then I know how much I can work in a week, because that's what I think is the most important for my overall health and my longevity in my career, making sure I do all these other things first most of the time. So as far as courses and delivery method goes, for written, courses, written books, the best is an idea-focused course. So my Art of Focus was great in print, that book, because it was really just focused on ideas, how you focus, how you think about focusing, how you think about designing your environment around you. That was really good for print only. If I was doing it in video, I'd have to have a lot of B-roll, so secondary shots. Even kind of now, you can hear me talking, but you see my slides, and you can see I'm switching throughout to try and keep it a little bit more interesting. So if I did that course in video, I would have to have a lot of B-roll, a lot of secondary shots, a lot of other things that would take a lot of time to shoot, or in some instances get really expensive to purchase, depending on the licenses and where you get them. So a really good thing to go with an audio course, though, or with your books, is an audio course of some fashion. It's really just an audiobook. So almost all my books, most of my books, I will actually have an audio component as well. People can, they'll read through it, and there's actually a point in each book and a couple spots where it says, hey, you can get this as an audiobook by signing up for my newsletter for something, so that they can collect the audio as well. And then I'm also capturing them from an external source like Amazon, so capturing their interest, so that in theory at some point I can, market a next product to them. Now in the middle there, I'm providing a lot of value, right? It's a lot of value, years sometimes of value before the next thing really comes out that they might be interested in. But still capturing that interest from them, capturing them in your email list is always going to be the best way to see some returns. So as far as video gear goes, you don't need a lot. This looks pretty busy. This is literally my desk from this morning. This is what I'm talking into right now, as you can see. So what you can even do, what I have done is use my smartphone. This is my 13 mini. I'll use this with an app called the Camo Studio, and I use that for B-roll if I'm streaming live or if I'm trying to capture it into my computer. But what we see here is a LED panel. This is my second light. My first light was actually a mixing bowl with LED strips glued inside and some diffusion fabric wrapped over top of it on a clamp. That was it. Right now you see the camera is mounted. It's mounted to a tripod and a special arm that lets me position it better. My first tripod barely held the camera and required milk crates to stand up. I had to stack 2 milk crates because the tripod wouldn't actually extend anything and hold the camera at the same time, because it would just fall over and I was about to break the camera. So I had to use milk crates to get it high enough. I actually still have that tripod around that I let the kids use, and they managed to have not broken it. All right, I have a boom arm mic. This is a Rode Video Micro that's above my head, just out of frame, so you can't see it. But having the microphone close to your face is going to give you better audio. It's actually probably the biggest thing to think about in your first video course, is that audio is more important than good video. People will deal with worse audio, 720p, maybe even down to 480, if that's all you can get, if you have good audio. A lapel mic can also work for you. I have one of those that I use with my wife's video stuff sometimes. She's a figure skating coach, and when she does evaluations that she has to send off to other coaches that are evaluating her, we attach a lapel mic to her and we send it off to a GoPro so that she has good audio on her body, but we can also be far enough away with the camera to actually get her. That lapel mic cost me $60. Cheapest one on Amazon. That was wireless. That was my only choice. So above me, I have my Rode Video Micro, and that goes directly into my camera, so I can capture audio in the camera automatically all the time. That is just faster. You can get better audio quality if you're really picky, if you go into like a special recording system, like a Zoom H1 or different Zoom products, but you don't need it. And then you can also see this nice blue, lovely blanket behind my desk, literally just there to dampen sound. It's a moving blanket because I moved far away, and I used it to pack my TV and put it up in my office. You can't see just out of frame here. I can probably show you if I pull it over. These are curtains from my old house. I don't have a window here, but they also help dampen the sound so that I have better audio coming in. One of the best things about audio in your videos is capture good audio up front, and then you have way less work to do later. So for camera, I'm using a Canon 90D. It was about $1,400 Canadian. I don't know what that translates into American or to any other currency, but it was about $1,400 Canadian. We've seen good reviews lately of the Lumix G7, which can capture good quality video. Mine captures 4K, but most people are never seeing it in 4K. It doesn't really matter. Say 1080, 720 is just fine. I take that into a Camlink 4K, which is buried under my desk in a massive cables I did not show you. Another thing to notice, you can see me, and if I can tap my desk, my whole desk and monitor is shaking. My camera doesn't shake because my camera is not attached to the desk. It's attached to a tripod that doesn't touch the desk. That can be an important thing to make sure that you get good video, because we're all going to touch our desks more than we think. Like I said, my iPhone 13 mini captures most of my B-roll for me. I use it all the time because I don't want to disconnect my quote unquote nice camera from its current stand. Next up is plan your environment. So my last office, as I was laughing with Patrick just before this, used to be below the kitchen, and somehow a 4-year-old managed to sound like a dinosaur when she walks around in the kitchen. And I have 3 children, and they always sound like dinosaurs when they walk around the kitchen. So I'm lucky now. This is under the master bedroom. It's just, there's not people in it in the day most of the time. If there are, they're in theory sleeping. So now I have a better sound environment for it. But again, I thought about my environment. I showed you the curtain I hung. I showed you the moving blanket back there. It doesn't necessarily look pretty, but it's better. Now, here's a picture. I literally turned around in my office this morning. This is my picture. This is a second moving blanket. This is some stuff behind me you can't see because I put some time into thinking about my audio. I did a little bit of tidy up since this picture, but mostly this is what my office looks like behind my videos most of the time, because that's just what it looks like. I've always got stuff going on. So I did position some extra books above my shoulder since this photo was taken this morning, just so that I was, doing a little better. And I picked up the moving blankets because I actually moved my desk into the closet this week. It was slightly out of the closet earlier in the week. So I had to move some stuff around, and I did some tidy up. But all I'm saying is think about your environment a little bit. If you spend some time thinking about your environment, then you can have a reasonable setup. In my last office, I didn't have as nice a setup. I couldn't, dedicate so much space to a video area in my office. So I would have to set up my camera and take it down every time. And when I'd set it up, I just spend 5 minutes thinking about what people were going to see when they looked at my video source, so that they could actually see something reasonable and it wasn't just terrible. Sometimes I'd miss something, but you just need to think about it, because I'm sure there's always something embarrassing around in your office that you don't want people to see. Next up, remember, it's not all about your face. Well, my wife thinks I'm real good looking and stuff. You all don't want to watch me the whole time. So this is where something like B-roll would come in. So Motion Array is a good source. I pay for a yearly subscription. It's a couple $100. It gives me transitions for my Final Cut editing software of choice. It gives me B-roll. It gives me audio. It gives me a whole bunch of other things for a fairly low price of a couple $100. I also keep a library of all the B-roll. So if you looked around on my YouTube channel, and when I'm talking about reading, I'm probably showing one of the same 10 shots of me reading that I took a year ago. I keep it all so that I don't have to continue to shoot B-roll all the time. And it's more interesting for everyone if you do something other than just showing your face the whole time. If you're doing a talking video, right? Just like today. It's more interesting if I don't show you just me and my face the whole time. Now, when it comes to capturing video, there's a few ways you can do it. You can record onto media cards. This is how I started, because I didn't have my Camlink. I didn't have a bunch of the other capture stuff. I just recorded, actually at that time, on a Canon 60D, which had a limited record time. And I would record, and then I'd mesh together a video, say, of my screen and of what was on the camera later. So then you have to import it, transfer the files off your media card and edit them on whatever device you want. I actually started on an iPad, just a standard iPad. That's how I did my first number of videos. So now I'll use ScreenFlow. ScreenFlow lets me capture multiple sources at once. It lets me, say, capture my screen and my camera and a third camera or a fourth camera all at once, puts them all in one file. And then I can render them out into individual video files with audio and everything. And then I can bring them into Final Cut later for editing. Another thing is Ecamm Live. That's what I'm using right now. That is the software. I'm sending a virtual camera really out to our streaming setup today so that I can bring myself in, bring myself out, and have more control over what you see. So when I produce that live, that actually renders it as one video file. It doesn't let me, say, change a cut later on, but it does speed up production, because then I can have cuts in the middle, right? Show you the software and bring my face in when I want to talk to the camera. or just show you in this case, just show you my slides again. Or when I wanted to show you my curtain, I could just pull my curtain out, switch the camera, and show it to you. So those are all Mac softwares, ScreenFlow and Ecamm Live, both on Mac. If you're on Windows, or you're actually even on Mac or Linux, OBS is another one that you can use. I forget what it stands for right now, but it does stand for something broadcasting software, open broadcasting software maybe. It will allow you to stream on Windows. It'll allow you to stream on Mac. It'll allow you to stream on Linux as well, I believe. It's a really good option for Windows users. In fact, it's kind of the best option for Windows users. And then you can produce them live if you want. And you can record them down to your computer only. That's what I would do, record it down to a file on my computer, but it's produced live. Another one is Camtasia. That is just like ScreenFlow, but for Windows. Lets you do a lot of the same stuff, record your screen, do your editing in the actual app. So even ScreenFlow lets me edit in the actual app if I want. And then you can render out your finished files later on. So now when it comes down to recording time, something to think of is to do it in as little time as possible, because unless you have a dedicated space like I do, where I can literally leave all this stuff set up, this is what I use for Zoom calls, this is what I use for recording videos every week for YouTube. But this is not what I always had. I used to have to set up my camera all the time and take it apart all the time because I had to move it between different spots in my office. At one point, I even recorded part of a course in my house. I do that when my kids were not home. I had to set up cameras and set up videos and tell my wife to be quiet, which she was okay doing, but I recorded in a short amount of time as possible so that I could make sure that I was disturbing my family as little as possible. And so also you can try and maintain the same type of energy. Now, in some courses, I've even made sure that I'd wear the same shirt. So just so that continuity works well. I haven't worried about that in some courses as well. It doesn't really matter. I've had no feedback on anyone saying, hey, you changed shirts in the middle of this course. I'm just saying, think about it. How do you want to present yourself? You need to think about it. Another thing during recording time is to remember to do a dry run. Make sure that you have practiced, you've looked at your script, you've practiced it again before you even hit record. The number of times I've hit record, because I'm like, I totally know this. And then what happens is something's changed. I don't totally know this, and I've got more to work out. I've got to stop the recording and figure things out in the middle. It happens all the time. And honestly, it happened Monday. It happened this week when I went to record something. Something changed. I had to redo part of my script. I had to redo part of my recording. I had, I think, 35 minutes of video that I took down to like 9 minutes. Rehearse before you record every time. I need to remember this just as much as you do. Another thing to remember is to cut your notifications. So just as I got on with Patrick, I put my phone into recording mode because I'm all on Mac. It actually took all of my devices and put them in recording mode, which means nobody, not even my wife, can send me a message. Usually I operate in a workout mode so that only my wife and my oldest daughter can message me. That's it. There's nobody else who has an emergency that I can deal with. I have no family in the area. We just moved here. I don't have a lot of, friends that would rely on me for an emergency. I guess, and the kids' school is allowed to message me. That's about it. So when I'm recording, when I'm doing a webinar, nothing can message me, hopefully, so that I don't get interrupted in it, and then you just look silly. And when you're doing a course too, you'll have to go back and edit that interruption out so that it's not in your course later. Editing your video course. First thing to do is establish a standard. So my first 2 to 5 minute video intro for my courses might take me 5 hours to edit properly. That means I'm going to figure out what titles I'm going to use, what lighting effects or LUTs, lookup tables. So this is how I'm going to make my camera look. What transitions are going to be standard for this video course, because they change. They often change a little bit between courses. It's important to remember when you're doing some of this stuff is, while you don't want to use the stock stuff that everyone's going to use in your editing software of choice, you also don't want to do something crazy. Unless you are a video editor, if you're delivering a video course, then do what you want. Because you're a video editor, you've been doing this commercially for a while, great. Do whatever you want. But if you're just getting started, pick something simple. Pick simple titles. Pick everything simple so that you can just do a good job without it looking gaudy. So now if you're looking for not just stock stuff, there are a number of places you can look. I mentioned Motion Array already. There's also Video Hive. And if you are going to edit on your iPad in software called LumaFusion, then Rob HK has a great YouTube channel showing you tons of stuff. And he has some transitions and titles for you to purchase. Just purchase them. Unless you are a video editor or, like I said, you've done this commercially for a long time, just buy some other ones that are different than what everyone else is going to use and go with it. Thumbnail design. Here's a bunch of my thumbnails. I use Canva for all of them. I'm not a designer. I know this. I use a template from them. I tweak it to my liking. I spend a bit of time on them. I spend actually a fairly bit of time, especially on my YouTube thumbnails, to make them look right. Now, for a course, I will produce every single thumbnail the same. The intro thumbnail or the main advertising thumbnail for the course is the only one that might get its own treatment. Lesson 2 gets the same treatment as lesson 1. As lesson 3, I just create a template, I pull them all out, and I put them on top of the courses in my software, on my own site, or in Skillshare, which I'll talk about in a bit. And I just make them look the same. Again, you're looking for a standard that's not crazy. You're looking to make sure that it's not, unless you're a graphic designer and you can design these because you know how to do it, just stick with a template. I like Canva. It's inexpensive and it makes sure I don't do really dumb stuff. Now, for audio, if you capture good audio, you just have less work to do. Spending a little bit of time on your microphone, making sure it's placed well, is excellent. So when I first started, I was trying to record with a microphone mounted to the top of my camera. It was too far away. It sounded really echoey and just wasn't good. I wondered if getting a microphone stand would improve this. If I just grabbed a microphone stand and if I put it closer to myself, would it improve it? So I went out to Log McQuaid, a local audio store, rented a microphone stand for $5 for 1 month, put it up, and within the first 30 seconds of me listening to the first video with a microphone stand where the microphone was close to my face, I said, yes, this is absolutely worth it, and I bought one for $30. One of the best initial purchases I made in improving my video quality was that, just bringing it forward. Probably my next one on the audio front was buying a very expensive shielded cable. In my last house, I used to live close to a guy that did ham radio. And when he turned on his radio and started talking to people, it would overpower and come even through my shielded cable. Sometimes it would just ruin my audio and I'd be gone. With my original inexpensive cable, though, all the time I'd get interference through it. So buying a good cable, getting your microphone close to your mouth is really good. Even if you spent time capturing good audio, there's still often something you can do to make it a little better, though. Something I used on my iPad for a long time, and now I actually do have the plugin for Final Cut, is something called Brucefri, BRUSFRI. And it is literally just taking a little bit of hiss that everyone's room is going to have. So at the beginning of a video, every time I have a few seconds of silence, I can tell Brucefri to learn what that silence sounds like, and then it actually just takes those frequencies out of my audio so that I am capturing better audio, or so I'm outputting better audio. So capture it, do a little bit of processing. I don't actually do EQing or anything like that. I am not an audio engineer, so I don't do that. I just want to make it good enough that people will not reject my video because my audio was really bad. As far as outputting files, I've already said I record on 4K. In theory, I'm sending 4K out of this, but realistically, most people are only viewing this in 1080p. People might even only be getting it in 720, depending on what your internet connection is. So when you're outputting your files, I like hosting a lot of my own courses on Vimeo, and then I put them on my own site because I can actually lock the video file to my domain only. But I only put them up in 1080p because if I was to putting them all up in 4K, my files would be so big that I couldn't upload an entire course in Vimeo in a month. It would take me like 3 months to upload a Vimeo course to Vimeo. So putting them in 1080p is totally fine. Don't worry about it. Most people will never notice. Lots of people are watching your courses on their iPads or on their phones, or they're not on a 4K monitor, or it's not color calibrated or anything like that. Just get your video file out, make sure your video is decent, make sure your audio is high quality, output a 1080p file. Will be totally fine for everyone. You will not have anyone complain about it. I have never had anyone complain about any of my videos on YouTube or anywhere because they were too low quality. Now, marketing your course is kind of the big one. like I said earlier, you will not build it. They will not come. Even with an audience, you're going to launch courses that are going to fail. I have absolutely launched courses in the last 18 months that I put a bunch of effort in that were going to be these big end-all be-all courses, and 0 people bought them. I launched one probably right around the time I started talking to Patrick about writing the content for Paid Memberships Pro. 0 people bought it. It was even a course that was kind of in line with what I do, talking about research, talking about note-taking. 0 people bought it. And I said, okay, I moved on. I said to Patrick before this, I've got a lot better at just moving on when things don't do well, but you're still a little disappointed. Still a little disappointed for sure. So you need to have an audience to market to. You need to continue to do marketing as you're going through this. So the best way to do that is to produce content. As I said, I have something like 900 videos on my site. It's the last number 200-300 videos in the last 3 years that have really taken off and turned into something. Now, even before that, as Patrick said, we had interacted on the programming front first years ago. I produced videos about programming stuff. Well, I think you'll even find it on this channel. And that helped me get work in some ways. I think I did one video for WP e-commerce years ago, and a client saw it. They said, hey, that fixed my problem. I think I have more problems for you to fix. So this is a good marketing endeavor all the time to keep producing your content. When I'm doing a course, I'm actually often producing videos for the course, demo videos, draft versions, trying out how I want to present them, and I'm putting them out on my YouTube channel because the people that are going to watch those are the people that are going to be interested in the course later. So for a written course, put out written content. For a video course, put out video content. It's also going to help you see what styles people are interested in, what content they're interested in, so you can tailor your course and tailor your marketing to hit those styles. Next thing is capture interest. So Patrick said, I have PKM weekly since I do a lot of talking about research right now. This is PKM is personal knowledge management, and I do a weekly newsletter that is free. Thing at the top, it says, hey, if you want to support me, buy a course. That's about it. The rest of it is all free. I keep doing it. And I'm capturing interest though. So when at the end of YouTube videos, I say, hey, if you want to, follow up, you want to support the channel, you're interested in more content like this, check out my newsletter. And I'm capturing interest there. People that give you their email are far more likely to actually purchase your course, take your course later. Then when you're done your course, produce more content. Like I said, 900 videos. I released lessons as draft lessons up front. And then I did the course, and then I took literally the exact video lesson in the course and turned that video lesson into a YouTube video. All I did at the beginning was say, hey, this is a lesson from my course on Obsidian. I'm going to talk about these 3 things. If you like the video, if you like this as a course, then you can take my course check the description on YouTube. That's it. I even wrote blog posts about them all because I do accompany each video post with a blog post on my site. Usually fairly detailed because it's my script, in fact. Honestly, in this webinar, Patrick and I were talking. He's like, oh, what do you want me to push for you? And I'm like, I'm literally going to tell people about my courses and some of the things I do in the middle of the webinar. When I first talked to Patrick, though, I came up with tons of other ideas that we could write about, that we could work together on. He's the one who picked, hey, let's talk about courses, which gave me more opportunity to talk about my courses, which is great. But I started by providing value, right? I've spoken at conferences. Patrick and I have interacted many times over the years. I started from a standpoint of providing value. As someone on YouTube, I get emails every day that says, hey, would you love to have our person talk about things? I'm like, I literally never have anyone on. And I certainly don't have anyone to come on talk about dentistry. I've run podcasts in the past. I haven't run podcasts in years. And I still have people saying, hey, my dentist would be the perfect guest for you. He does these 3 dentist things. I'm like, I've literally never interviewed a dentist in my life. Like, why would I do this? Don't be that person. Offer value, use existing relationships, existing things that are good, right? Me talking about how I build courses, good for Paid Memberships Pro, who sells stuff to be able to publish your courses. On other sales channels, I actually also have a bunch of my courses, all my courses, my video ones on Skillshare as well. While I don't make as much money per sale, I do make a good amount of money there because they are bringing an audience I don't have access to. So I honestly make a good amount of my money on courses from Skillshare, and I make a good chunk on my own site from memberships, from people taking my courses individually. That's where I make more money per sale, but I lose 50% of my income if I didn't have my courses on Skillshare. I've done a few other spots as well. Skillshare has been the best for me, but I've made some sales on Udemy and some other services out there as well that seem to suit what I'm trying to accomplish with my courses. Ultimately, many of these people on the courses said, hey, I found you on Skillshare first, and then I started following you on YouTube. That's a good secondary marketing channel for me, can be for you as well, depending on your course, right? Written course, not on Skillshare. Video course, probably good for Skillshare. Now, the final thing I'd also say is just don't get carried away. It's totally easy for you to say, hey, I'm going to put this course out. Everyone's going to love it. If I just have 5 people buy this thing, I'm going to make millions of dollars. It's going to be so good. And honestly, it's probably not going to happen. Unless you're already some movie star that's going to get people follow you just because you're a movie star, because you've done something new. What's going to happen is a few people will take a course. Most people will say, oh, I totally was interested, and that they never take it. And it's easy to let your dreams be crushed. Say, oh, I failed because of this, but you haven't. That's just normal. I will do courses that do well, and I will do courses that don't do well. And that's just how it happens. That is part of learning how to run your online business, learning how to do it all. So don't get carried away. Don't get discouraged. And if you didn't do any marketing up front, don't expect lots of sales because you didn't do the pre-work up front. And that's it. Do we have any questions, Patrick?
Well done, Curtis. That was fantastic. I love it. I have a couple of my takeaways. I always like to take notes and share them with the audience, which I will do in a minute. But audience, I want something from you first. We would love to see your questions. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat. Part of the reason we do this live is because we like answering real people's questions. Curtis and I can talk for hours about all the theoretical issues you may have, but we like to see and hear and read real issues that you have. So if you have real questions, please drop them in the chat. And actually, I have a bonus question for the audience. What part of this webinar was most surprising to you? Where did you learn something? The planning, recording, editing, marketing, or some specific part in there? I would love to know that. So, audience, if you want to let us know, that would be fantastic. And while you do that, here's the important points that I jotted down. Number 1, audio is more important than video. That is something that is so true. I feel like I'm in a pretty actually empty room. I just moved. And so my room is not very well designed for sound right now. I have a couple blankets down, but it's mostly big and open. But I try to use the best audio I have, because if you have bad audio, it's just really hard to listen to someone. I have a hard time when we're on a work call, and if there's clinking silverware or something, it's really hard just to hear everything that someone's saying. Yeah.
Some people complain about my keyboard in some videos because I have a clicky keyboard. And they're like, that's way too loud. But then other people are like, I love it. Keep doing it. And I honestly, that's one of the ones I'm like, I just don't care. Like, if you don't, usually I say, maybe you shouldn't watch my video, because I'm not going to change that part.
I noticed this keyboard. I'm like, wow, he's got one of those mechanical keyboards. Click, click.
It is. Yeah. It's a big clicky keyboard, but people ask about it on a regular basis. Right? I even said, I just literally just hung up a curtain. I don't have a wall. This is a wall. To do better audio in here. It was the curtain I had from my last office when I moved that did cover my whole window there. Let me control light, but now it's just on the wall.
It's really good. And I've run a podcast before. I've made some online courses, and audio is so important. Obviously, and audio is important for podcasts, but it's important for anything. The other thing, I love that you showed your messy office. I think, I've gotten really into YouTube in the last couple of years, and I have a couple of people that I follow on WordPress topics, on course topics, and then on other stuff too. And the YouTube people I follow have beautifully, impeccably designed office spaces. But
parts of my GoPro just sitting on my desk.
Yeah, I love seeing that, and And actually, so I have a question for you. I do have some questions from the audience, but I have a question for you first here. I think most people are on a budget, right? Most people want to test if a course works. So is there one piece of equipment that you say, yes, you absolutely have to buy this if you don't have one yet? And sorry, part 2, is there a piece of equipment that is definitely wait for that until you've already had your first 100 sales, or until you've had your first dozen sales?
Yeah, absolutely. Get something audio-wise. Most people if you have a smartphone made in the last 4 or 5 years, this is totally fine. I shot on my 6 Plus. I shot some courses. Last year I shot some of my courses on a 6 Plus, and all I did for that was get a better mic. So spend the money. I think my Rode Video Micro was $80, $90 Canadian, and a $30 mic stand, and bring it closer. And then my first light was actually my window, where these curtains used to actually do something. I just stood in front of the window, had it facing me, and shot the video. And so don't worry about even a good light. I say my second light was literally a silver mixing bowl. I went and bought the shiniest one I could and put the cheapest LEDs I could in it, and put some fabric over top of it with like big black, like thick paper binder clips. That's it. That was my first one. I just like prop that up, and my wife's like, "That looks terrible," and I was like, "But it works." But it works. So I would even say skip the light, use a window. That's it. You need a little more thought there. You have to put into where it's going to be, right? So I was going to do this on a window upstairs in my current house. I'd have to be able to kick my wife out of the whole house. So that wouldn't work here necessarily, but now I have a light, so it is better.
Yeah. So we do have some questions here. So Matt was asking about where do you store all your videos? Do you store all 900 in external drives? It's a lot of video.
No, actually, probably the last 200 though. I have last 3 years. I probably have them all. Out of Final Cut, you can delete the cache file, which is gonna be like 150 gigs. So I delete the cache file and then I just save the rest of it. So it's maybe 8 gig to 15 gigs per video. I have a 10 terabyte hard drive sitting on the floor right there, just backed up to Backblaze too.
Do you worry about? So you do have stuff backed up. So you have stuff on a hard drive. Do you have stuff backed up as well?
Yeah, I have stuff. Everything's in my office is backed up to Backblaze. So my solution when people say, "Hey, what did you do if your computer crashed?" I'm like, I just go buy a new one. I don't have time to like spend hours sorting something out. So, or I go grab I keep my last computer is the kid's computer now, and I keep an account on that. I just go unplug it and plug it in down here. Like they would not have a computer for a while.
Got it. Makes sense. Question from Jason here. How do you know when to move on and when to try again or double down? Any tips?
Oh, that's a hard one. So my most recent course that flopped was about research topics. And I think I will come back to that idea because people have obviously, like I get calls from research scientists and will you please do coaching with me and help me take better notes on how I research underwater whale sounds. I was like, really? Like, don't you, like you have 2 PhDs in this? But he's like, yeah, but we never talked about this at school. So I think there's something there. I think my marketing was bad. And I think I probably tried to rush out the marketing. At that point, honestly, I was like, oh, I'm kind of out of work for a little bit. Maybe this course will be a good one. Right. And I reached out to a bunch of other things. I reached out to Patrick at that point. It's like, oh, Patrick is over here now. Maybe there's some opportunity there to earn some money for something. I think actually because there was a job at the first, right? I was applying for jobs and then we talked about other things now. So I think I probably rushed through that. I think there's something there and it's figuring out what your market. So I price it according to what some other courses are having, but I would say clearly the people that are most interested in me have a different value to dollar proposition than what I put the course at. So I think I will totally come back to that. I'm super busy again now. So lots of different work building sites and doing other things. So I don't have time for it at this moment.
Yeah. I'm going to try to add a little bit to this question here. So, Jason, when I think about like how do you know when to try again or double down, I think there has to be like some bites, right? Like for me to try again, there has to be like at least one bite. If I don't get at least one bite, like that's probably just like shelve that for a year or two and come back and rethink it and start from scratch. Whereas if I have a couple bites, then I go, okay, there's something here, and it's probably the marketing or the website or the price or something.
Now with that course though, here's what it's all going to be about because it's all about research. It's about topics I've taught. I have course pieces for it already. I had lots of pieces. So I just wrote the marketing page. That's the effort I spent on that. And that's it. And I said, hey, if people buy this, I will produce something for 2 Fridays from now for that course. And because I had a lot of the material from other courses I've done before, from other coaching I've done before, I did not record all the videos first. I have done that and then had a course that I put like hundreds of hours into and nobody bought it. This course I put, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 10 hours into. I had a lot of resources. I knew I could talk reasonably on the fly about it. I had lots of notes. I could literally show off my notes, how I'm using them. And that's what I wrote the marketing page. And that's about it.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone else, I'll hide this comment, but I don't know if anyone else is thinking, if you're thinking about an online course and you're wondering if it's worth it or not, for me, I just start writing the content because it's usually stuff I'm interested in anyways. And then I put it up on my blog and then sometimes it gets repackaged into a video later, but no matter what, I'm going to start by writing it. I think, so I just start by creating the content. And then if it seems like there's interest there or there's enough area for me to explore, then I turn it into something more.
And that's how my first book started. I was writing about how I ran my business when I was first starting it. And people were like, oh, Curtis has written WordPress and he's writing about business stuff. Let's follow, right? I think Matt, who asked one of the first questions, asked me on his podcast early because I was already writing stuff on WordPress when Matt was starting. When Matt was just a little guy just starting, right?
Yeah.
And It's literally like I stopped writing about freelance stuff because I'm like, I kind of feel like I got that locked down, so I'm not writing about it now. Some people still say, how can we not write about that? I'm like, because I'm not interested in it, right? All the books behind me and even the courses just buy me time to be interested in stuff and do those things.
It is hard to switch audiences, right? Like if I write exclusively about WordPress and then I sort of transition to e-commerce, there is you have to, I guess, figure that out with your marketing, that you have to find a new audience or something like that.
Yeah. I think the nice thing about, at least if you're first starting courses, they're not your only thing. Like I suppose I didn't say this in the presentation, but like my full-time gig is programming. I will go launch sites for a number of US cities and make sure they're prepped for tomorrow. Because that's what my main project right now is, doing a large network of sites for a bunch of US municipalities and building membership sites. That's what I do. So if a course fails, everyone gets to eat still. I don't have to worry about it. Like my courses literally earn me every Monday. I don't have to, I can do whatever I want. And I can write for an hour every day. That's what my courses earn me. And I pick one day a week to go work at the bike shop because it's fun. Not because it pays very well at all. I just go work on bikes because it's fun. And that's it. I get discounts. So that's what my courses buy me at this point. Will they buy all my time at some point in the future? Yeah, probably, maybe. If I keep going at it, it's likely that at some point, yes, but not right now. That's fine.
Curtis, you brought me to one of my favorite topics, which is what I call retirement jobs, where I want everyone watching this right now. I want you to make so much money that you can retire from your day job and you can work at the bike shop one day a week, even if the money's bad. And I'm going to tell everyone now, here's my retirement dream job. I want to be a bicycle delivery driver at Jimmy John's. I want to work for 3 hours. I want to bike around for 3 hours in the sun. I want to sweat. I want to get my workout in, and I want a free sandwich. That's my dream retirement job.
And they teased me about firing me yesterday because I dropped some shoes off a shelf, and I was like, all right. They laughed no. I was like, no, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. So as a reminder, everything will be at this. We'll have the recording here. Curtis, you mentioned all these great tools in the webinar. We will make sure to add, I'll get some screenshots or some pictures and add links to all those tools. All sorts of cameras. I saw a comment about a certain camera is really good. So there's all sorts of really good tools. They'll all be at this link, probably about a week or two. And if you're on our newsletter, we'll email you when that happens.
And most of them are linked in the blog posts we wrote already too.
Yeah. Perfect. I did have a question. So if someone is starting new, right? And lots of people who are thinking about starting courses are new. Do they go for I'm unfamiliar with TikTok. Do I try to jump on the trend and jump on a TikTok, or do I go for something that works? There's a proven formula with Facebook ads. Is it
you is my question. I could try and jump on TikTok. Technically, I have all the skills to do it, but I'm just never gonna do it. So I don't worry about it. I just know me. And some of that was trying trends, and then I just didn't work. So I would say, what can you reliably produce, right? If you can reliably produce audio content, then produce audio content reliably. If you can reliably produce video content, then do that. If you're I don't have time for any of that, I can only write when my kids are in swimming lessons and can do written stuff, then just do that. And don't, I absolutely remember seeing people have success in their podcast. I'm like, Matt in his podcast, success in his podcast. And everyone talks about Matt being podcasts. I ran a podcast for how many years, and how come Matt gets this? Honestly, you can't worry about it. Or in in different membership tools. I built membership tools before Paid Memberships Pro really existed, under very similar circumstances as how that we were building it for clients, and then it started taking off and did good. Mine didn't take off and do good. So I could be upset about this, but I'm just I get to do what I want most days of the week for clients I want to do, and I get to go work at the bike shop. And Mondays I get to do whatever I want, go for bike rides because it's nice some days. So I'm really not living a bad life. I'd say just keep going at it and try again. Do what you can do reliably. That's it.
Yeah. So I think sometimes when you're brand new to a thing, there are heuristics, rules of thumb, right? That give you an idea of how long something takes. Do you have a heuristic, a rule of thumb for how long a finished minute of video takes?
When you're just starting, what did they say? I've read some stats on this recently. I think it was 10 minutes for every 1 minute when you're first starting.
I was going to say an hour.
Maybe I was going to say maybe even more. So I produced this in Ecamm, right? I was showing you earlier, I can switch my audio video feed like that. I do a lot of production in camera now. So when I'm done my video, I literally just put check the audio, go through, cut out any pauses, and then put the video out. So a video might only take me, a 10-minute video might only take me 30 minutes to edit and render and get the thumbnail up. And then I go and do whatever I want on Mondays. But at the beginning, it took me way, way longer than that. Like it took me epic amounts of time to do everything. And figuring out that people have generally liked when I talk extemporaneously. I've been at conferences where like, our speaker got sick. Can you please come do this? And sure. And everyone's like, that was the great presentation. I'm like, I literally had not prepared and I answered questions for an hour because they needed someone. I said, yeah, I'll do that. That's fine. And so that works for me. It does not work for everyone though. And some of that is because like, I don't even know when I started podcasting. I've been on hundreds of podcasts. I've done hundreds of videos, coming up to 1,000 videos, right? I've been on lots of other people's podcasts as well as doing my own. I've done presentations. I was in sales for a long time. Talking like that just is fine with me. So know what you can do. It's going to take way longer than you think.
Yes.
And less people are going to buy it than you think probably too, unfortunately at first, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Yeah. I would say for anyone who's just starting, if you want to, like, if you're going to make that first like 5-minute video, I'm going to guess 5 hours, like for you to like write it, script it, edit it, record it, edit the written words, then edit the recording and then publish it. I bet that's 5 hours. So
yeah,
it's not worth it.
Yeah. And even for me, like I've written 3,500 blog posts on my site. Plus I've written for Liquid Web and for lots of other sites over the year, GoDaddy and Liquid Web. And I don't know, a whole bunch of other blogs too. So written books. So the writing goes fast for me as well, but I've been doing it for a while. So it's like programming goes easier for me because I've been doing it for 12 years.
Of course. All right, everyone. Well, we didn't get many questions today. That's okay. Curtis and I can just chat and have a good time on our own. But thank you everyone for tuning in and for joining us. We have, again, everything will be at this, the banner at the link on your screen. Let me just put up Curtis has that PKM Weekly newsletter. So if you want to hear more from Curtis, go see that. And we have a 4-part, basically a 4-part blog post that sort of covers this in a little bit more depth. So if you want all the links to all the things that Curtis talked about, we have a 4-part series on our site. And I think that's about it. Any last words, Curtis?
We're good. Someone wants to hear you though. Like, you can change one thing. I spent years guiding canoe trips for very little money in Northern Ontario, but 1 or 2 kids went from criminals, literally, to wonderful people that write books and support their spouses through depression and stuff. So that makes all those, there's something, there's someone out there you can help and reach in ways you don't even understand yet.
Yeah. You can add value to the world, even if it's not a super duper financial success.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you, everyone. Go out there and build awesome membership sites. Bye-bye.